Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So, taking it's the end of March, you know what time that is. It is time to do the monthly news in Retro Roundup. I'm going to be going over all of my favorite projects, new releases, decomps, recomps, PC ports, and in between that happen in the month of March. That way you're aware of everything. I will leave links in the description below as well for each individual video where this is actually being sourced from on my channel, so you can check it out and grab them if you want. But honestly, March has been one explosive month, pun very much intended for Bomberman 64, and it's one of those things. This is why retro gaming is 100% making a comeback. Before you get too far involved, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. But right off the top, maybe some of my favorite news of the month of March was obviously that Bomberman 64 got a static recomp, and that is absolutely amazing. I'm always here saying on the channel that Bomberman 64, Second Attack, as well as Bomberman Hero, more importantly Bomberman Hero, are some of the best games on N64 that just do not get enough credit. I have a huge amount of nostalgia for the Bomberman series on N64. They're some of my favorite games of all time on the system, so getting a static recomp of something like Bomberman 64 is just 100% amazing. And I have sat down and played this thing from start to finish. It just works. You can enjoy yourself, save your game, have fun, and play like you're actually playing on a real N64, except with obviously a lot more improved graphics and quality of life improvements around the edges. And that is definitely something that makes me a Bomberman fan very, very happy. And as we go back into some more gameplay footage here, static recomps as well as decomps and PC ports are going to be a huge deal in 2026, and I think you're going to see at least a couple big ones in the months to follow. Because if you watched my video earlier, you already know that Paper Mario is seeing a PC port, and it just kind of got cut off on the overall timing of when I upload these videos. Because I basically cut off the month in retro maybe about 3 or 4 days before the month ends, and I actually have time to make these things so they do not get made in a vacuum in some sort of automated way. But I can't wait to see what the rest of the year brings for N64 recomps and PC ports, because again, the N64 doesn't have the biggest library, and I kind of feel like, and I'm just guessing, maybe by 2035, yes, a long way away, but not as long as it seems like, you may have close to the entire library of N64 games running on your PC outside of software emulation. That's definitely a future I want to live in. So again, it's going to be a very big year for static recomps and PC ports, not just on N64, but on the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 2, and a bunch of other systems as well. So definitely look forward to that. But you leave me a comment down below and you tell me, Bomberman 64, are you a fan or not? I would be very curious to hear your guys' opinions on the game. Now moving from a recomp to a PC port, Super Mario 64 Plus got a big update in the month of March, and again, this is basically the other side of the static recomp coin based upon the Super Mario 64 decompilation, and being able to mirror the screen, being able to change up the colorways, and give yourself a little bit more of a dramatic looking Super Mario 64 is a ton of fun. And it's not like we are starved for ways to play Super Mario 64 on PC. We have different PC ports, we have co-op online, we have stuff like the actual ray tracing versions. This is the game that's seen more PC ports than any other from the decompiled ROM, but I'm really not surprised whatsoever. Super Mario 64 is such an iconic game. Of course there's going to be multiple different versions, but as far as vanilla is concerned, just playing the original game, if you don't want ray tracing, Plus is actually my favorite version to play. But honestly, I'm not saying that the other ones are any less than. It really is just a subjective thing as to which one you want to decide to check out. But trust me, if you haven't played any of the Super Mario 64 PC ports yet, you're 100% missing out. They run at a better frame rate than N64. They have so many mod options, so many different ways to kind of make the game your own, as well as a metric crap ton of quality of life improvements to just make the games more fun to play. And that really is what these recomps and PC ports are bringing to the table, just a better version to play some nostalgic classics. And as I like to say in the videos where I talk about them, it's one of those things, these aren't just for us, the retro gamers that grew up with N64, a newer generation that might be looking to play some retro games because modern gaming honestly has been pretty boring in the last couple of years. Playing something like a PC port of Super Mario 64 is just going to get a lot more people into the game than trying to give them an N64 controller and having them play at 240p in a lower frame rate. Because this doesn't look like a game that came out in the 90s, has been ported. It looks like a game that came out in 2026 just with a retro aesthetic as far as the overall aspect ratio and everything else about the performance. And that really is going to get more people into retro because trust me, we're not getting any younger and one day we'll stop playing these things. Now going from 3D Mario to 2D Mario, the 1.0 release of Pasta La Vista came out, and honestly this thing is just straight up so weird, so charming, so colorful and fun. It's probably my favorite release of the month, even if Bomberman 64 has my nostalgic heart. If you haven't played Pasta La Vista yet, you owe it to yourself to do so. It is just one of those things. This game is such a vibe, it's so trippy, you've never played anything like it. It's also going to be our first soundtrack sample because it has MSG1 support as well as a wild soundtrack in general. So go ahead and listen, and I'll be right back with a lot more retro news this month. I mean, honestly, we spend so much time on the channel these days talking about recomps and PC ports. You have to remember that the ROM hacking scene out there is doing some absolutely incredible things, and honestly, Pasta La Vista is so charming, weird, and unique. It absolutely just feels like something that the gaming world needs right now. It's just kind of a thing. It absolutely goes left where everyone else goes right, it zigs when everyone else zagged, and it 100% works so much better for having been weird. I absolutely love it. And moving back over to the PC port side again, I showed you some test footage of the work in progress Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess PC port, and that is based upon the 100% decompiled GameCube version of Twilight Princess. And even though it is not complete, you can't really finish the game, definitely has a lot of performance issues and visual bugs. Just seeing this thing running and being able to test it on my PC was some of the most fun I had in March. Because once the news got out that Twilight Princess was 100% decompiled, everyone went nuts asking when a PC port would be ready to play. And again, just because there is a test version doesn't mean this thing is going to be done in a week or two. It might not end up even coming out until 2027, you just never know with these things. But the way time moves, at least in my life, before you realize it, it'll be out, you'll think it's been 2 months, and somehow it'll almost be Christmas, and the tree and the presents will be out, and you'll just wonder where the hell the rest of the year went. That is kind of the funny thing. Time just seems to go flying by the older you get, and suddenly having to wait for things isn't as dramatic because suddenly they just pop up. But there's so many improvements that could be made to Twilight Princess, removing some of the bloom, playing it in 60 frames per second, getting widescreen out of it. Just think about how many different mods could be put into this game, because it is one of those things. I absolutely love Twilight Princess, but it could be improved upon, and it's one of those things. Definitely the better game compared to Skyward Sword, at least in my opinion. I'm sure you guys can debate that in the comments. Just remember to be nice, because it all is just an opinion. But this is just coming together so well, and Luna Fedomra, the developer, has been on his Discord showing all of the different test footage, how things are working, and the improvements as well. So again, this isn't something that is going to be something you want to sit down and play, nor can you, because it is just in private test right now, but it is future looking, and it really goes to show that sometime in the future you're going to be playing a PC port of Twilight Princess, and I have a very distinct feeling you're going to be playing more than one, because I know another team is working on a port as well. Maybe that's something I'll talk about in the future on the channel. But the future of Twilight Princess PC ports in general looks bright, and I'll definitely update you guys on that soon. Now moving over to a 2D fighting game from a 3D game. This is a recomp of Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, and it definitely is shaping up really well. When I played it, it felt every bit as good as Street Fighter should feel, but honestly I'm not an expert at the game, so you have to take that with a grain of salt. It's also going to be our next soundtrack sample, so go ahead and listen. I'll be right back with more news. Sounds great, plays great, looks great, and having Third Strike on PC definitely a fun thing. And yes, this is based upon the PlayStation 2 version of the game, but again, as I talked about in the main video, if you missed that, link in the description below, because this is basically using the code. You can go ahead and amend and change things to your whim as far as if you're the developer. So getting stuff like actual improvements or getting it closer to the actual Capcom CPS3 release, definitely doable, but we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. But as far as playing this one today, it's something you can check out. It is like a 9.5 out of 10 in my opinion in the performance and overall compatibility department, and definitely something you should be paying attention to in the future, because trust me, absolutely amazing game, absolutely amazing project, and maybe one day it'll have something like rollback netcode you can play online. Now obviously we're also going to talk about the Fatal Frame decompilation, because that hit 100% this month, and in previous month I've actually done previews of the PC port, because it's one of those things you don't need to have a 100% decompiled game to start porting to the PC, because maybe the last couple percent are something that you don't really need to have in the game because it isn't going to depend on the overall functionality. But this thing went from 53.08% to 100% relatively quickly, at least in my world. And I will have a video later this week playing the work in progress PC port, because compared to the last time I took a look at it, it is so much improved. You have full character models, a lot of the screen space effects, and you can definitely just sit down and play the game. Now again, it is just a closed test version for me to do videos on from some of the developers, and thanks to them for actually letting me test it out in the future. But this one feels like it is getting close to the home stretch. But as I always like to remind people in videos, sometimes the last 5 to 10% can sometimes take as long as the first 90%. Just because the PC port looks this good right now does not mean it's going to be something that you're going to see a video on next week where I say it's 100% ready to go. Go ahead, click the link and start playing it. Although that is not outside of the realm of possibility, it is something I expect. And you will see there it'll also draw to whatever screen aspect ratio you use. I use 2 ultra wide monitors, so it'll appear in ultra wide if you want. And again, I absolutely love Fatal Frame. That's one of those things I can't wait to play this from start to finish on my PC sometime in the future. Now jumping back into the world of ROM hacks, Doom 32X Resurrection got a very meaty upgrade in the month of March as well, bringing in better performance, more features, and just an overall better version of Doom. And as I talked about in the video, it just really goes to show that the Sega 32X has a lot more horsepower left in it than people give it credit for, and I love to see developers using that hardware and getting new games out of it. I would love to see some brand new games written just for the 32X that really harness the 3D capabilities and show just how much the system could do that it didn't get a chance to do back in the day, because it failed at retail, so we know it's never been pushed to its theoretical limit. Speaking of limits, this is going to be the third soundtrack sample in the video, but that isn't over my own personal soundtrack limit, because we might do one more before the video ends. But go ahead and listen, and I'll be right back. Also, I just love hearing the Doom soundtrack come out of the 32X and Sega Genesis sound hardware, and it's one of those things. The 32X has a lot more life to live. We just have to hope the more developers want to take a look at it. So it's one of those things. Leave me a comment down below and you tell me what your favorite 32X game is and what game you'd love to see get improved or overall ported to the hardware, because I would be very curious. But now speaking about ports, we have one more to talk about this month, and that is the fact that Animal Crossing got a full PC port and now has support for the HD texture pack as well. And that's definitely something that I absolutely love to see. I've been playing around with this game and it works like 90%, every bit as good as you would expect. There's definitely still a bug here or there, so hopefully the developer keeps working on this one. And it's one of those things, maybe 5% of people got upset with this because AI was used in converting the PowerPC code over to x86, but that is something in any environment that would be utilized in the same way as well, where everything else is done by human hands. And I will have a video soon talking about its usage in different recomps, PC ports, FPGA cores, and everything else, because when the people get mad about it actually seeing any sort of AI usage whatsoever, they don't really realize that basically almost everything they've been playing recently, as far as actual stuff, could involve AI usage. Just one of those things. I know it is the big boogeyman, and if you watch my channel, you know I hate it. And any sort of commercial usage, replacing people in jobs or otherwise being used for generative AI art, I'll never use it on my channel, but it's one of those things. In some instances, it is the de facto way that you should be doing this work. And as far as the port is concerned, again, it is absolutely fun to play and looks stunning. Running it in 4K with the texture pack looks like something that Nintendo could have released last week and would have reviewed like 9.5 out of 10s across the board. And this is just something we're going to be seeing more and more of, just like I talked about earlier in the video. The Recomp and PC port scene is blowing up, and I can barely keep up on the channel with all of the news. To the point in time where now I have videos that I keep pushing and don't actually even air because they get too old because cooler stuff came up. So leave me a comment down below if you're still watching and you tell me, would you be interested in members only videos, or maybe if I upload some of the ones that didn't make it to the channel on Patreon, you guys watching them there, because I am getting to a point in time where I have more stuff to talk about and I actually have space on the channel. It's becoming a little bit of a problem, but a very good problem to have, because that means we're getting more PC ports, recomps, new ROM hacks, emulation improvements, and everything else across the board. It is an embarrassment of riches, and I'm definitely here to line my pockets with all of these fun games. Not in a monetary way, just in a fun way. And also, Infidelity's MSU1 port of Super C got completely finished up, and he does an absolutely amazing job with these games. And even though there isn't any footage, it's also been announced that he's going to be working on a 16-bit conversion of at least one of his NES to Super Nintendo ports. Because people always ask why they don't improve the graphics. That really isn't the work ethos here on these NES to SNES ports. It is for improved performance like you get in Super C, but it'll definitely be something I'll be looking forward to covering on the channel in the future as well, because I would love to see some of these NES games get 16-bit graphics, and it is a completely different type of development, converting the codebase over and getting MSU1 in versus actually getting sprite artists to redraw all the art, reprogram that. That is basically a whole next level thing, and it just goes to show that Infidelity is keeping up with the overall amazing work he's been doing on NES and Super Nintendo conversions. And if you're not aware who Infidelity is, just go ahead and look his channel up on YouTube. If I remember, I'll leave a link in the description below, because it's absolutely insane stuff. But speaking of MSU1, here's your last soundtrack sample, and I'll be right back. And the last bit of news that I wanted to cover from the month of March, one of my favorite personal hidden gems on Sega Saturn, Lupin III, The Pyramid of Sage, got a 100% English translation, including all of the cutscenes. And it's one of those things, understanding the story in this game and why you were doing anything was very difficult, because of course if you didn't read, write, speak, and understand Japanese, you'd have no idea what was being said or written down. Now that's completely not the case whatsoever, and that is amazing, because for me personally, this is one of my favorites of March. And if you made something in March that I talked about in a mainline video and didn't include here, I kind of go over my top notes. And if you're working on a project that didn't cover on the channel, you wonder, why didn't Video Game Esoterica talk about my stuff? Sometimes I just don't know what's going on, so you're always welcome to leave me a comment in the actual comments below. You can contact me on Twitter or Discord and point out what you're working on, because I want to cover all of your projects, but sometimes I just don't have enough eyes and ears out there to know everything that's happening in any given month, and I'm always welcoming. If you got something cool to show or talk about, contact me. It is not a promise, but I'll try to get a spot on the channel if it's something I think everyone will enjoy seeing. But short of that, March has been absolutely incredible. It's one of those things, we have a lot more months in the year, and hopefully each and every one lives up to the absolute fire that has been this month. But short of that, it's almost Easter. Enjoy that if you celebrate, but I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye-bye.